let's be honest, you probably like the Motorola Photon 4G or the HTC Evo 3D as much as I do, but grandma doesn't need that phone, or your mom doesn't need that phone, or maybe your teenage daughter. She doesn't need that high-end HD recording, dual-core toting Android smartphone. No, a mid-range device works just fine, and T-Mobile has got you hooked up. Here it is, the HTC Wildfire S. Now, this was announced at Mobile World Congress earlier in the year, and it's a great little mid-range Android device. It's for those people that don't need, the 1 gigahertz dual-core super phone. They just need something with a good OS, something that's reliable, and a smartphone where they can browse the web, check Facebook from time to time, things like that. This fits the bill. It's available now for $79.99 after mail-in rebate with a 2-year agreement. It's available in 2 colors, white and black, and it has a 600 megahertz processor, 5 megapixel camera, but it does come with Android 2.3. Now, is this the phone to get for grandma, for mom, or should you go with a basic phone, maybe a feature phone, or get something on sale like the Evo 4G? We'll find that out in the full review. But first, got to give some love to my boys at Best Buy because they hook us up with a lot of cool phones for use in our One Paw Bandit game. When you go in to get this at Best Buy, you're going to walk out working. They're going to help you set up your email, your web, all that good stuff. So when you walk out, your daughter, whoever gets this phone, mom, grandma, she's going to have Facebook access, if that's her thing. Much more coverage coming on it. Let's check it out. Full review. HTC Wildfire S. Here's the HTC Wildfire S. It's a mid-range Android device. It's available on T-Mobile right now, and according to the press release, it's $79.99 after a $50 mail-in rebate. And it's available in 2 colors, the white you see here, and kind of a darker gray as well. So if white's not your color, you have another option. It's really, for a mid-range device, it's not bad at all, and it's packed with some pretty decent features. And when I said earlier in the intro, I said it was for moms, grandmas, first-time smartphone buyers. That's just a target demographic. Obviously, anybody can have this phone. But I see this for somebody that, maybe is first time in the smartphone realm. They want to, migrate up from their feature phone and go into something like this as opposed to a high-end device. Or maybe somebody, a teenager or something, and mom or dad doesn't want to buy them, a full $200 smartphone. The $80 one here is a pretty feature-equipped device, and it does a pretty decent job. Specs include 600 megahertz Qualcomm processor. It's a 3.2-inch display, so a little bit on the small side, and it's one of those things, if you're coming up from a feature phone, it's going to be fine. If you're coming if you're coming up from a feature phone, it's going to be fine. If you're coming down from something, even like the iPhone screen, which is 3.5 inches, or perhaps a 3.7-inch display or 4-inch display, you're going to notice the size, particularly when browsing the web or using it for more than about 15 or 20 minutes. You'll immediately start to notice the screen size. Now, it comes with a 1,230 milliamp hour battery, which is the same one, if you recall, that comes in the Inspire 4G. Much bigger display, much faster device, or more powerful at least on the processor front, and a bigger display, like I said. So it sucks down the battery pretty quickly. It's hard to make it through a day. This one I haven't had any trouble with because of the smaller display, because of the different specs. It's been relatively fine with moderate use. I've been able to make it through the day each day this weekend when I was testing it. So, like I said, 600 megahertz processor, 3.2-inch display, Android 2.3. So it comes with Gingerbread out of the box. Let me go ahead and turn on the display here. I usually do this before the video, but I forgot. I apologize. But anyway, it's Android 2.3, HTC Sense 2.1. So it's not coming with 3.0, it's coming with 2.1, so you don't get those lock screen animations like you get with the Evo or the Evo 3D or the Sensation 4G. It's Sense 2.1, so you get some of the benefits. You'll notice here in the notifications bar, you get the quick settings tab where you can go over and see Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. You can access your quick settings and network settings, things like that, from this screen without having to go deep into the settings, which is kind of a nice touch. And then, of course, you have this little carousel up here at the top, which lists your most recently used applications. And then, of course, you still have your 7 home screen. So, for a 600 megahertz device, it's still relatively snappy. They've really made some improvements. First of all, Gingerbread is a faster OS overall. Second of all, with Sense 2.1, they've really done a great deal of work to make it where it doesn't bog down. The overlay doesn't bog down the overall experience. And it looks good. So you can see out of the box, very similar menu structure here as well to 2.1. Think HTC Droid Incredible 2 here if you've worked with it before. Very similar structure with the menu where you can scroll between frequent and downloaded, and then all of your apps. And then when you scroll down, it scrolls by page instead of by individual rows. So a little bit of a difference there. Anyway, so 411 and more comes pre-installed. You get a HTC Hub and HTC Like. So it comes with HTCSense.com, which I like. I like that T-Mobile preserved that. Verizon did not preserve that when they went with the Thunderbolt, which was something that was introduced in Sense 2.0, this HTC Hub. And so obviously the Thunderbolt had Sense 2.0, but it did not come with HTC Hub or HTCSense.com access to those at least. Now where that benefits I'll get into in just a second, but you can see my account, my device, and of course visual voicemail, Wi-Fi calling, T-Mobile Mall, Slacker, and then of course you can access Wi-Fi hotspot by going to the quick settings. So it's, like I said, pretty equipped device given its status as a mid-range unit. And then over here you have your volume rocker, micro USB charging port, 5 megapixel camera on the back with a flash, and then you have your 3.5 millimeter headphone jack and a power button. Now you have this lip at the bottom, typical HTC kind of lip here, very similar to the Desire and your capacitive buttons, home, menu, back, and search on the front, and kind of a nice little grill plate here. So all in all, you look at this in comparison to something like, let's say, the Photon, and you can see the size difference. I mean, it's a smaller device, and it's going to fit for people with larger hands like mine. It's going to fit pretty well in the hand. Now that said, it's going to be one of those smaller devices when you go to make a phone call. If you have a big face or a lot of distance between your ear and your mouth, it's going to be a smaller device. So personal preference thing. You may love it, you may hate it, but give it a go and take a look at it in the store. Now what I was saying about HTC Sense.com is over here in the personalization menu. Because this is running Sense 2.1, it has the latest personalization menu, so you can change the scene, which I'll show you right here. And you can change between, social play, different scenes, depending on whether you're at work, you're on the, it's a weekend, whatever. But the skin ability here, where I can go between Slate and then the current or the typical HTC skin. Now I can get more here, and it's not going to let me in. But this is where I can access HTCSense.com, so I can download new ringtones, new wallpapers, new themes as well, and that's a big benefit as opposed to not, just being stuck with the two skins that are out of the box and that's it. So we'll go ahead and apply the HTC theme so you can just see the difference here. And like I said, for a 600 megahertz device, it's pretty snappy. I haven't really had any slowdowns. It's obviously not going to run games really quickly or do anything that's system intensive, but I haven't really had any slowdowns. I mean, I've been relatively pleased with the speed of the device. It seems pretty speedy in everything I throw at it. And then here you can see that the App Store down here changed to accommodate the new theme. So you can make those changes. You can download additional ones from the market, or from Sense.com rather, which is pretty cool. So we can go back through here. We already covered that. Let's take a look at messaging so you can see what the keyboard looks like on a smaller device. Let's see here. Compose message. We'll go down here to add text, and you can see here's the keyboard. It comes with the HTC keyboard, but it actually comes with two out of the box. It comes with the HTC keyboard and swipe as well. So if you prefer swipe, it's available out of the box. Now, because it has a 3.2-inch display, it's going to be hard for people with larger thumbs like myself or others to type on it, even in landscape mode, just because it's a smaller display. You look at something like the Photon, again, pretty big display here, and pretty easy to type on with large thumbs. But in landscape, again, we'll try the quick brown fox rolled around in mustard and needs a bath. So you can see, again, landscape not too bad. And then when you get into portrait, it's very, very small. Let's say, hey there, how are you? So a little bit different. Hey there, hey the, how 8KY. So a little different in portrait mode as opposed to landscape. It's a little harder to type on, but you still have your typical HTC stuff that we remember from, about the Thunderbolt up with Sense 2.0 and up. The ability to add from attached pictures, videos, things like that directly from the message, and more. And again, you have swipe pre-installed out of the box. So if you prefer that, you can access it. Let's take a look at the internet, because I want to show you, with the smaller display here, and I was looking at the news earlier, which the market is tanking, so that's not doing so well. But let's take a look at Phone Dog. Let's go to some more, let's say, exciting news. Let's go to Phone Dog. More optimistic news, more upbeat news. We don't need to think about the markets crashing or any sort of recessionary things. Let's take a look here. And this is obviously a 3G device on T-Mobile, so network speeds are relatively fast, and we'll get into that a little later, probably in part 2, but just to show you, you can go down through here, and you can see Phone Dog loads up pretty quickly. And again, it's a 600 megahertz processor, so it's not going to load, and be a pinch to zoom isn't going to be as quick as something like the G2X or some of these other devices that T-Mobile carries. But you can see, again, and the page isn't even fully loaded yet. We'll wait for it to load. But this is what I'm getting into, with a 3.2-inch display. It's pretty hard to see all the info on the screen. So it's, a small display, something that you may have to get used to if you're coming down from another smartphone and migrating over to this one. But again, if it's somebody that's migrating up from a feature phone, they're not going to have a problem with that. Come on, Phone Dog, let's load. There we go. So you can see a little bit of a lag and pinch to zoom. Then once it kicks up, it seems like it's pretty reasonable. Let's see. There we go. Okay. And see, once it gets started, it seems like it's fine. So again, pinch to zoom, pretty responsive, and you have the typical HTC layout here with the browser, where when I go to a second window, it leaves me where I left off, and I get this nifty little preview, so I know where I can go back and start reading from. It's a little bit easier as opposed to just a text link, which when you click on it, it takes you back. So I can open up a second page, for example, and go back and then I can bring that one up. And that also can be accessed by scrolling all the way out. Scroll all the way out, and then I can access it that way. I can pinch in, and it allows me to access that as well. So you can see there. So a little bit of lag there. And again, another system-intensive tasks, but when you get into day-to-day stuff, text messaging, calling, what most people that buy this device are probably going to do, I haven't seen much lag at all.